Have a good day everyone, and today we will see how to create another structural column design as dynamic block. Okay, let's see. Current view annotation scale set 1 to 1, drawing units unit, length decimal, insertion scale millimeters. Okay, now go rectangle, rec enter, first corner point, dimension D, enter, length 500, enter, width 500, enter, click here. Okay, offset distance 25 millimeter, offset. Okay, enter, go fillet, F, enter, radius 15, enter, select polyline, okay, select polyline, layer change, rebar 1, select polyline, go properties, global width set 5, enter, exit, copy, CO, enter, select object, base point, type from, enter, click here, base point, angle 45, enter. Okay, now click here. Okay, exit, mirror, mi, enter, select object, enter, mirror line, click here, enter, copy, CO, enter, select object, enter, base point, array A, enter, array items 7, enter, fit, F, enter, click here. Okay, exit, delete, mirror, mi, enter, select object, mirror line, click here, enter, copy, CO, enter, select object, enter, base point, press shift key and right click, mid between 2 point, click here, okay, exit, again copy, CO, enter, select object, enter, base point, array A, enter, items 4, enter, fit, F, enter, click here. Okay, exit, delete, go polyline, PL, enter, click here, angle 45, enter, click here. Okay, exit, match, MA, enter, select, mirror, MI, enter, select object, mirror line, enter. Okay, select rebar 1 layer, make current. Okay, now go circle, C, enter, center point, radius, click here, line, L, enter, create line, exit, trim. Okay, enter, line, delete, polyline, PL, enter, length 30 millimeter, enter, mirror, mi, enter, select object, mirror line, click here, enter, polyline, PL, enter, start point, next point, click here, joint, J, enter, select object, select, enter, okay, joint, select object, go properties, global width 4, enter, exit, select object, go properties, more color, click here, color, orange, okay, exit, rotate, arrow, enter, select object, base point, center point, copy, CO, enter, angle 90, okay, exit, copy, CO, enter, select object, select, enter, base point, click here, exit, stretch, S, enter, select object, deselect, enter, base point, click here, okay, mirror, MI, enter, select object, enter, mirror line, click here, select yes, okay, select object, select, go properties, color, more colors, green, okay, exit, mirror, MI, enter, select object, mirror line, click here, enter, select object, select, change color, more color, okay, exit, more, M, enter, select object, select, base point, click here, okay, now go block, B, enter, block name, STC design 3, select object, select, enter, pick point, click here, block unit, millimeters, open in block editor, tick, okay, untick, okay, now go parameters, base point, click here, parameter, linear, repeat linear, select distance 1 and distance 2, go properties, number of grips 1, exit, distance 1, select, go properties, rename, length, enter, exit, distance 2, rename, width, enter, exit, go action, stretch, select parameter point, stretch frame, select object, enter, action, stretch, select parameter point, stretch frame, select object, enter, select stretch 1, go properties, distance 4/6, enter, exit, action, stretch, select parameter point, stretch frame, select object, enter, select stretch to, go properties, distance 2 divide 6, enter, exit, okay, action, move, select parameter point, select object, select, enter, select, move, go properties, distance 5 divide 6, enter, exit, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, move 1, go properties, distance 4 divide 6, enter, exit, action, move, select parameter point, select object, select, enter, move to, go properties, distance 0.5, enter, exit, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, select move 3, go properties, distance 2 divide 6, enter, exit, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, move 4, go properties, distance 1 divide 6, enter, exit, action, stretch, select parameter point, stretch frame, select object, enter, action, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, select move 5, go properties, distance 2 divide 3, enter, exit, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, move 6, go properties, distance 0.5, enter, exit, move, select parameter point, select object, enter, move 7, go properties, distance 1 divide 3, enter, exit. Now go parameters, visibility point, visibility status, rename 8, enter, new, select, set current, okay, go visibility, select 8, make invisible, select object, select, enter, make invisible, select, enter, okay, go visibility, select 8op1, make invisible, select object, enter. OK. Visibility, select 8 of P2, make invisible, select object, enter. OK. Go visibility, select 10, make invisible, select object, select, enter. OK. Again go visibility, select 10 of P1, make invisible, select object, select, turn on selection cycling, select polyline, blue polyline, select, enter. Again go make invisible, select object, enter. OK. Go visibility, select 10 of P2, make invisible, select object, select blue polyline, deselect this rebar, deselect, enter. OK. Go visibility, select 10 of P3, make invisible, select object, select, enter. OK. Visibility, select 12, make invisible, select object, enter. OK. Visibility, select 12 of P1, make invisible, select object, select blue line, select object, enter. Again go make invisible, select object, enter. OK, go visibility, select 14, make invisible, select object, select object, select, enter. OK, go visibility, select 14 op1, make invisible, select object, select blue line, enter. OK, visibility, select 16, make invisible, select object, select blue line, enter. Again go make invisible, select object, enter. OK, go visibility, select 16 op1, make invisible, select object, select, enter. OK, visibility, select 16 op2, make invisible, select object, select blue line, select, enter. OK, now save block, close block editor. OK, let's see, select block, 8 op1, stretch, 8 op2, stretch, 10 op2, 12 op1, 14 op1, 14, 16, 16 op2, reset. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.